Before moving on, association mapping, let's go through inheritance mapping and type of inheritance mapping once more time. Table per subclass mapping. What will happen is for every class there is going to be one table. For every class there is going to be one table. The student is the main superclass which will have the master table called student. So a student class is going to be main class, main superclass, and the table of a student class is going to be called as master table because that is going to be get bounded with the foreign key relationship of the table in the subclasses. Every class table is going to be in foreign key relation with master table student. So there will be foreign key relationship between the subclasses tables and the master table, which is the student table. So this is the first point you have to remember. Second one is when you save a student class object, then only one record will be inserted into the student table. When you are going to store the values inside the student object and then you are using session.save method to insert the value, then only values are going to get inserted inside the table of student. When you save current student class object, then only one record will be inserted into the student, one record will be inserted into the current student table. When you save old student class object, one record will be inserted into the student table and one record will be inserted inside the old student table. When you save weekday student class object, then one record will be inserted inside the student, one record will be inserted inside the current student, and the one record will be inserted inside the weekday student table. When you save weekend student class object, then one record will be inserted first inside the student, another record will be inserted inside the current student, then in last the record will be inserted inside the weekend student table. So this will happen in the case of table per subclass mapping. You can take the screenshot of this. Just take the screenshot. Now in the case of table per class mapping, which is second type of inheritance mapping, what will happen in table per class mapping? Every class property will come together and make one single table. So the CID and CNAME suppose is inside the student class and roll and batch is inside the current student. Likewise, from every class, the properties, fields or variables will come and make the single table. So every class property will come together and make one single table. You have to take help of discriminator column to identify from which class object value are being inserted. So we have to provide discriminator value to each class. Whenever we are inserting data by any class object, whenever we are inserting data, then the corresponding discriminator value will be inserted in the discriminator column. So this is the discriminator column. Whenever we are using any class object, then those corresponding class discriminator value will be inserted inside the discriminator column. This will happen in case of table per class mapping. Only one table will be get created. You can take a screenshot. Now the third type of inheritance mapping is table per concrete class mapping. concrete class mapping. What will happen in this? For every concrete class, there is going to be one table. For every class, there is going to be separate table. When you save a student class object, suppose you are saving a student class object, then only one record will be inserted inside the student table. When you save current student class object, then only one record will be inserted inside the current student table. If you say values with the help of current student object, then only the table of current student will get populated. When you save old student object, then only one record will be inserted inside the old student table. This is not going to happen like first values are getting stored inside the student, then values are going to stored inside the old student. Only it will be stored inside the old student. When you say weekday student class object, then only one record will be inserted inside the weekday student table. When you store the values through the weekend student, then only one record will be inserted inside the weekend student's corresponding table, not inside the student or current student. Then it is going to get stored inside the weekend student. It is not going to happen like that. When we are going to store inside the weekend student table, then it will be only there. So this will happen in the case of third inheritance type, which is table per concrete class mapping. Just take a screenshot for this. So that's all for inheritance mapping. These all three things. In next video, we will start association mapping.